Start recording na. So, sige, last group 8, you have the floor already. You may start na po.
So, okay. So, hello, good afternoon. So, we are the group 8, and our topic is about the psychology of religion and cult. So, next, please. So, what is religion? So, according to the American Psychological Association, religion is a system of spiritual beliefs, practices, or both, typically organized around worship of an all powerful deity and involving behaviors such as prayer, meditation, and participation in collective rituals. Other common features of organized religions are the beliefs that certain moral teachings have divine authority and the recognition of certain people, places, texts, or objects as holy or sacred. So, to emphasize, religion is a system of spiritual beliefs that is organized around the worship of an all powerful deity. Next, please. So, what is the psychology behind religion? Research has claimed that religion has survived and thrived for more than 100,000 years. It exists in every culture, consisting of 85% of the world's population, embracing some sort of religious beliefs. In an article by Tix, The Psychology of Religion, he stated three variables regarding the psychology behind religion. First would be our genetic predispositions, in which there is an increased likelihood or chance of influence in religious activities and beliefs. So, in other words, um, it is genetic and also biological. Second would be the need for control, or for example, abstinence or the control of your sexual desires. And lastly, the groups in which we identify with this, I mean, families, communities, and culture. So, sociological factors. Next, please. So, in 2010, the American Psychological Association discussed that religion may be, in fact, a byproduct of the way our brains work, growing from cognitive tendencies to seek order from chaos to anthropomorphize or our environment and to believe that the world around us was created for our use. Religion has survived for thousands of years for the reason it helped people from form increasingly large social groups held together by common beliefs. Other than that, religion is one of the big ways that human societies have hit on as a solution to induce unrelated individuals to be nice to each other. Next. Next, please.
Hello? Mr. Roldan?
Wala ga next ma'am ang slide no dali lang gid ma'am.
Okay.
Back anay. Back pagid. So the University of British Columbia researcher Joseph Henrich found cross-cultural support for this finding in a study that showed across 15 diverse societies, people who participated in a world religion were more fair towards strangers when playing economic games than people who were not religious. In an article in Personality and Social Psychology Review, they suggest that religion co-evolved with morality as a way to bind people into large moral communities. However, some argue that through stories and rituals, religion have built on five basic moral foundation. It would be do no harm, play fairly, be loyal to your group, and respect authority and live purely. Next, please.
Next. Okay, Psychology of Religion pursues three major projects. First is systematic description, especially religious content, attitudes, experiences, and expressions. Second is explanation of the origin of religion, both in the history of human race and in individual lives, take on account of diversity of influences. And third is mapping out the consequences of religious attitudes and conduct, both for the individual and society at large. The psychology of religion first arose as a self-conscious discipline in the late 19th century, but all three of these tasks have history going back many centuries before that. The challenge for the psychology of religion is essentially threefold. First is to provide a thorough description of the object's investigation, whether they be shared religious content, for example, is the traditional ritual of observance or individual experiences, attitudes, or conducts. Second is to account in psychological terms for the rise of such phenomena, whether they be in individual lives. And last is to clarify the outcomes, the fruits, as William James put it, of this phenomenon for individuals, and largely these fruits may be both positive and negative. So, okay, next na. Okay, din kinambahan na. Yep, tapos na wala. Okay, okay na. Um, okay na. Factor analysis was also brought into play by both the psychologists and sociologists of religion to establish a fixed score of dimensions and a corresponding set of scales. The justification and adequacy of these efforts, especially in the light of constructivists and other postmodern viewpoints, remains a matter of debate to this day. Okay, lima next na. Okay, no. In the last several decades, especially among clinical psychologists, a preference for the for the term spirituality and spiritual has merged along with the efforts to distinguish them from religion and religious. Especially in the U.S., religion has for many become associated with sectarian institutions and their obligatory creeds and rituals, thus giving the word a negative cast. Spirituality, in contrast, is positively constructed as deeply individual and subjective, as as a universal capacity to apprehend and accord one's life with higher realities. Okay, pili na ka next. Today's efforts are ongoing to operationalize these terms with little regard to their history in their Western context, with their apparent realist assumption that underlying them are fixed qualities identifiable using empirical procedures. Schnepker and Emmons theorized that the understanding of religion as a search for meaning makes implications in the three psychological areas of motivation, cognition, and social relationships. The cognitive aspects relate to God and a sense of purpose. The motivational ones, the need to control, and the religious search for meaning is also woven into social communities. Wait, yun lang yung part na. Okay.
So next is the examples of religion. First is Judaism. Judaism is a strictly monotheistic religion practiced by the Jewish people, an ethnic and religious nation descended from the historic peoples of Israel and Judah. So Judaism, as it would be recognized today, originated in the Middle East in at least 500 BCE, although certain religious traditions or beliefs can be traced back much further. The second one is Hinduism, which we all know that this is the oldest religion in the world due to its origins in Vedic beliefs dating as far back as the 1500s BCE. So, and it is a synthesis of many different Indian religious traditions. Next is Christianity. Christianity is a monotheistic religion centered around the personage of Jesus Christ, 30s to 50 CE as a religious offshoot of Judaism based on the teachings of Jesus, who was himself Jewish. Early Christianity rejected many of the social, cultural, and religious institutions of Judaism and pursued radically different strains of spiritual thought. Lastly, we have Islam, which is strictly monotheistic, and its founder is the Prophet Muhammad in the year 607 in present-day Saudi Arabia. So his teachings, collected in the Quran, claim common descent with many Jewish and Christian beliefs. Muhammad preached monotheism in the city of Mecca despite opposition from local polytheists and quickly built a religious community of early Muslims. The founding of father of psychology of religion. So we have here William James, an American psychologist and philosopher, regarded by most psychologists of religion as the founder of the field. He also served as president of principles of so in the institution so religion and plays an important part in a society's culture. In short, it is a belief bakit prayer um, prayer.
Giselle, medyo choppy ka po.
Yes, okay na ma'am.
Oo, kanina choppy ka. Pwede mo lang maliwat?
Personal religion.
Ang sa previous slide mo.
So, meron si James, ay nagtatag difference si James between institutional and personal religion.
Hello?
Organization and plays an important part in society's goals. Ala, wait lang.
Ga choppy ka, dear?
Wait lang, ma'am. Okay na, ma'am?
Oo, better na I think ang sound mo.
Okay. Sige. So, in short, sa institutional religion, may ara kita belief systems nga naka-systematically arranged kag naka-established siya formally. Just like sa mga churches, kay di ba kung magsimba kita, may ginasunod kita nga proper um, uh, appraisal of prayers. So, personal religion, in which the individual has mystical experience, can be experienced regardless of the culture. So, si James was most interested in understanding personal religious experience. In studying personal religious experience, James made a distinction between healthy-minded and sick-souled religiousness. So, individuals predisposed to healthy-mindedness tend to ignore the evil in the world and focus on the positive and the good. So, gingamit man ni James ang example of Walt Whitman and the Mind Cure religious movement para ma-illustrate ang healthy-mindedness in the variety of religious experience. So we have here other theories under psychology of religion. First one is George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, which he described all systems of religion, philosophy, and social science as expressions of the basic urge of consciousness to learn about itself and its surroundings. So he also states that religion is only a form of that search for knowledge within which humans record various experiences and reflections. So one of his philosophical work is the Phenomenology of Spirit, which is a study of kung paano ang mga various types of writing and thinking mag-draw from and recombine sa mga individual and group experiences sa mga lain-lain nga places and through the time. Next one is Sigmund Freud. He gave explanations of the genesis of religions in his various writings, which is one of it is the totem and taboo, which he applied the idea of the Oedipus complex and postulated its emergence in the primordial stage of human development. So, ginview man ni Freud ang idea of God as being a version of the father image and religious belief at bottom infantile and neurotic. So, in short, Freud states nga ang unconscious mind needs for wish fulfillment. Wherein nagabilib si Freud nga ginpili ta lang magpati kay God because he represents a powerful father figure. Because people need to feel secure and absolve themselves of their own guilt. Next is Carl Jung. He is a Swiss psychoanalyst and he adopted a very different posture, one that was more sympathetic to religion and more concerned with a positive appreciation of religious symbolism. So kay Jung naman, in short, he understood Christianity to be a profound meditation on the meaning of life of Jesus of Nazareth within the context of Hebrew spirituality and biblical worldview. So, ang bali ni Jung, religion was a natural expression of the collective unconscious. While kay Freud naman niya kagina, he believed that it was a collective neurosis. So, lastly, we have Alfred Adler, an Austrian psychiatrist, who parted ways with Freud because he emphasized the role of goals and motivation in the individual psychology. So, kay Adler naman, ginview niya si God as the concept of complete perfection. Gindefine niya si God as the human understanding of greatness. Gin-oppose yan ang kay Freud, which I mentioned earlier nga 'di ba, believe lang si Freud nga ginpili tas magpati kay God because he is a powerful father figure. So kay Adler naman, he viewed God as the conceptual idea of perfection, not as internalized parental image. Hello. Hello?
Yes.
Okay pa, ma'am?
Oo. Dumalobat ka na galing.
Okay. Ang ang next, ma'am, reporters ang ko.
Okay. Hello? Will be
Sorry,
next.
sorry lang. Wait lang. Yes. What is a cult? A cult is defined as a small group of people who have similar religious beliefs or routines that others view as bizarre or sinister. A cult is also a group movement with with a shared pledge to an extreme ideology that is typically embodied by a charismatic leader. Etymologically, the word cult comes from the root word culture, representing the core system of beliefs and activities at the basis of a culture. Thus, every human being belongs to a cult in its most general sense. Thus, every human being belongs to a cult in its because everyone belongs to a culture which is conveyed by the language they speak and the habits they have formed. The literal and traditional meaning of the word cult is derived from the Latin cultus, meaning care or adoration. Sociologists and historians of religion speak of the cult of the Virgin Mary or the traditions of worship in neutral sense. Pwede pa next. Okay, si Levy na dito rin na part. Lev, your next Lev.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I will be reporting the psychology behind journalism of Roselet et al. Next, Los. Okay. In a study of Roselet et al. Year 2017, their study aimed to identify the factors involved in the commitment and retention of the group, as well as the protective factors involved in their departure. The study interviewed 31 former cult members, and cult can be seen as an organized group or a solitary person whose purpose is to dominate cult members by using psychological manipulation and pressure strategies. Next, please. So the first step in cult commitment was the narcissistic seduction. This was described by Fournier and Monroy in year 1999. So the narcissistic seduction refers to the manipulative psychological technique that are designed to change their behavior and alter their perception of the world around them. This type of character mostly dominant among cult leaders who intended to lie and turn others against each other for their own ends. So narcissistic seduction can be also called as mechanism of mind control. A victim or a person being seduced will suddenly become a mere puppet at the command of the narcissist or a cult leader. So this process takes a long time because a total and wait lang, wala pa. Balik Danay. Thank you. This process takes a long time because a total and instant commitment has a poor chance of persisting if not followed by in-depth and multidimensional work with the goal of self-reinforcement. Psychological addiction and mental disorder are associated behind joining a cult. So I have read from our research that cult membership and addictive disorder share common characteristics, such as persistence despite damage, initial psychological relief, occupation of an exclusive place in the thoughts of members, high psychiatric comorbidity prevalence, high accessibility, leading to the social precociousness and the importance of familial support when leaving. So not all, but some person joins cult due to the familial acceptance and the sense of belongingness to the group. Events that facilitated commitment were often a need for personal development, life dissatisfaction, or being on a spiritual quest. Social and familial life were the most frequently damaged elements, as reported by the former cult members. They reported that the most frequent obstacle to departure was a romantic relationship or having family members in the culture group and difficulty in questioning the fates of the group. Next. So we have three theories associated with the cult. The first one is social learning theory. According to Bandura's social learning theory, we can assume that having a family member in a cult could have provided influential rather, for the former cult members and that they imitated the behavior that they had observed during their childhood. Social learning theory of Bandura suggests that social behavior is learned by observing and imitating the behavior of others. An example of this is if a child grew up with a cult member in a family, there's a big chance that a child will be a cult member as well sooner because this is what he or she observed. Additionally, culture groups were present in the members' environment before his or her commitment, be it in the neighborhood, at work, or through social associations, or in their family. The next one is the self-categorization theory. Despite the fact that some behaviors of cults are seen as weird or bizarre, individuals still act in this way going against society's norm. So the social categorization theory is a process
Hello? Livy?
and
Medyo choppy ka, miss.
others into
Liv?
differentiated groups. So they can be categorized based on their character. Salitan ko, ma'am.
Oo, nag-choppy ka kagina. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, salitan ka ang sa may self-categorization.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Sige, ma'am. So self-categorization theory. Despite the fact that some behaviors of cults are seen as weird or bizarre, individuals still act in this way, going against society's norm. So the social categorization is the theory is the process by which themselves and others into differentiated groups. So they can be categorized based on the characteristics deemed meaningful by the society, such as age, group, sex, and race. Self-categorization theory states that self-categorizations are motivated by the need to reduce uncertainty. Next slide. The last one is the social identity theory. Social identity theory is a theory in psychology that explains how an individual can enhance their self-esteem and correspondence to their group. This theory states that humans have the need to have a positive self-concept which is presented to us through identification with our groups. Meaning humans are motivated to positively evaluate their own groups and value them over the other groups. So this theory posits that an individual seeks for a group which they think they belong and can help them develop themselves into a better them. Example of social identities are ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, disabilities, and religion or religious beliefs. A positive group identity is what adds to an individual's social identity. A person's character a person's character built from membership and emotional connections from social groups.
Luz, ako na lang Luz, present Luz. Manawag lobat ka naman la. Ako na lang. Thanks, Luz. Yeah, so mga sugod arit sa subong sa cult leaders and their example cults. I think isa sa mga cults na natabo sa US. So first is Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was a group that started in 1970s. They were known as a UFO religious cult. It was tightly knit group that required members to give up almost all of their possessions. So ang group na ini is gapat din nga ang UFO nga maabot no sa Earth is ang amo nang UFO nga makapaasan sila sa heaven. So para mag-ascend sa heaven kinahanglan nila naging sa soul nga form. So in March of 1997, they put on matching dark clothes, ingested barbiturates, and placed plastic bags over their heads and killed themselves. This was one of the biggest largest mass suicides in the United States history. But hindi siya pinakadako. So, musa na yung mga examples, musa na yung natabo sa group. Naka-same sila nga mga uniform, naka-uniform pa sila, naka-same naka-Nike shoes, at naka-shroud sa sang violet nga naka-violet shroud sila. And so nahuli ng nabalaan nga mayara man nga naka-survive mga pila ka members, mayara iban nga yun way nagtuloy. So yeah, mga damo na deads. Second is Charles Manson or Charles Manson family. In the 1960s, Charles Manson assembled a group of young people, referred to them as his family. Manson expressed his ideas about imminent race war, and he told his followers he wanted them to go on a killing spree. On one night in 1969, several of his followers murdered 5 people, including the actress Sharon Tate. So the Manson was later convicted of first-degree murder. So makita sa mga family members siya na na-conduct sang killing spree sa gabi, kag isa sa mga victims nila is ang Hollywood actress na si Sharon Tate. So kung sino man nakalantaw sa sang Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so namo man na-accept sa good ending sa may Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In real life, napatay si Sharon Tate sa Sharon Tate. And next is si David Koresh. A famous cult leader, David Koresh, thought he could have a collaboration with God, and he convinced his followers the world was ending. He and more than 100 people moved to compound outside of Waco, Texas. Amo na yung tawag na Waco incident sa 1993, I think. The FBI tried to arrest Koresh in 1993 because of law violations, as advocating for underage girls to get married to adult men. So, literal pedo siya. And it led to 51-day standoff. Ultimately, 75 people from the group died, and Koresh was found with a gunshot wound to the head. So, makita sa video ya kung paano ang pilakad daw ng struggle sa government para maano nila si Koresh. Kaya nag-build up sa mini military niya. So nag-build up nag-stock sa armas kag mga ammunitions. During that time nagkadto na ang police kag FBI nag-shoot out na sila. So at the end napatay siya, either way ko kabalo ko napatay siya due to sa investigation, either napatay siya tungod sa nag-suicide siya or minagtiro magud siya. Okay, arep sa pinaka highest skill count cult leader. Si Jim Jones. Jim Jones founded the People Temple in Hierapolis in 1955. He moved his followers to Eureka, California, out of fear that a nuclear attack might strike the Indiana. He later moved his followers to Guyana, which became known as Jonestown. A government official went to investigate the group in 1978 after they grew concerned that some members may be abused. Okay. The group shot and killed the official, and then Jones instructed his followers to drink Favor Aid laced with cyanide. Over 900 people died, including Jones, who was found with a bullet wound to the hand. So, I think na narin sa video sa may YouTube mga tabo sa napatayang sa ka-diplomat, isa ka reporter, kag isa ka cameraman. I think BBC sila. So, nagkadto ang group sa may Guyana before sa a day ni natabo na tawag nga mass suicide. So, makita niyo sa picture ang literal nga hundreds nga mass either hindi matawag na suicide kay mostly sila napilitan gid maginom kung hindi nila maginom ang cocktail na tirohon sila. So either mapatay sa poison or mapatay sa bala. So makita sa picture ang mga literal nga chata nila, ang ilang little community kag ang mga taho nga tani na gin-exploit ni Jones. So so cult sa Philippines. At sa cult sa Philippines kani yeah, ko manggapon gali san siya. So okay, wait lang gid. Okay, ay na. Okay. Okay. Okay, Chabs, come Chabs.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to discuss the difference between religion and cult. Next is many experts, including philosophy professor Sam Lishaker, argue that the main difference here is that our religion has lasted for generations, namely more than 100 years. Cults, on the other hand, don't last long because they self-destruct or engage in unhealthy practices that limit their membership over time. If a cult manages to survive past the first or second generation, they tend to institutionalize, become more stable, find a greater degree of acceptance in society, and sometimes become a mainstream or even dominant religious group. So, they said ng isa ka difference nila is ang religion gala siya for hundreds of years. It's because from the very beginning, ang ila goal is to introduce the certain religion and to gather believers. While ang cult naman, may arabi sila nga mga harmful practices nga gina-practice sa ilang nga group. Also, may other nga group nga until now are gyapon sila still standing is because they tend to institutionalize. Next is a cult is a social movement. In the early 1900s, the term cult was pulled from the religious context and used in a sociological context. For sociologists, cult described a group with beliefs and practices that were socially deviant. Today, cults don't always deal with religious beliefs, but religions too. Cults have been particularly aggressive in rural areas in attacking those believed to be insurgents. This has included evacuations, assaults, arson, and killing. As British sociologist James Beckford has observed, cults are usually associated with beliefs and practices considered to be unhealthy. But what is seen as healthy in one culture may be seen as unhealthy in another. Familiar ba kamo sa Ilaga group? Din-acknowledge na sila as pioneers ng armed religious cults. This group was founded in South Cotabato sang 1967, headed by Commander Topsik. Let's example, din sila sa cult group nag-attack sa mga insurgents, especially during sa time ni Marcos. Though big help din sila sa military nga nagtugpo sa mga rebelding nga Muslims na ginatawag nilang Black Shirt Group na gusto mag-roll sa Mindanao. This ilaga group na ni, gayo sila bolo or binangon bilang armas nila, and they also have anting-anting or amulets as their shield. Next, government recognition. Religions are recognized and accepted by the government, but cults are not. In terms of law, there is no single standard definition of religion. Different countries recognize different religions based on a variety of factors. Cults are not typically accepted by government. Researchers explain that many of the activities in which cults are believed to engage are really mere beliefs that are protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. For those activities that illegal, it said that current laws are adequate to protect society from whatever harm people believe cults pose. So just like sa US, na wala gina-recognize basta-basta ng government nila ang mga certain cult groups, same goes man na diri sa Philippines. Kahit isa ang mga cult group daan, may mga sarili-sarili sila nga prinsipyo and beliefs na gusto nila i-apply pag i-practice ng tanan, which in fact risky and delikado kaayo. That is why dugahatong naman ng government to avoid harm na pwede makos ng mga cult groups if legalize it or i-recognize. Next page. Hypothesis on the role of religion. The first hypothesis is secularization, holds that science and technology will take the place of religion. Secularization supports the separation of religion from politics, ethics, and psychology. Taking this position even further, Taylor explains that secularization denies transcendence, divinity, and rationality in religious beliefs. This in turn is expected to produce more spiritual seeking, although not exclusive to religious institutions. Eclecticism that draws from multiple religious or spiritual systems and New Age movements are also predicted to result. Moments ng rising technology to subong, in some cases, yung rise of technology affects the beliefs ng iba niya tao. For example, in politics, doon nila ang religion and they think nga, they can still stand without it. And some people got confused in their religions and some gina-question nilang ila beliefs due to influences ng social media. To the point, in the long run, there's a possibility nga science and technology will replace the religion. Next. Cultural divide. In response to the religious transformation hypothesis, Ronald Inglehart piloted the renewal of the secularization hypothesis. This argument hinges on the premise that religion develops to fill the human need for security. The idea that religiosity arises from the human need for security has also been furthered by studies examining religious beliefs as a compensatory mechanism of control. In the experimental setting, researchers have also tested compensatory control in regard to individuals' perceptions of external systems such as religion or government. Sometimes people think na if may religion, hugot ka lang imo faith. Wala sang may makaharm sa because we have God. Relief and assurance na you are safe. Pero ang iba, nagiging religious lang kay may kinahanglan ng isa. Pero if wala and they're happy living their lives, bawalipat man sila maging religious. Next page. Next page. Religious transformation. Challenges to the secularization hypothesis led to significant revisions, resulting in the religious transformation hypothesis. This perspective holds that general trends towards individualism and social disintegration will produce changes in religion, making religious practice more individualized and spiritually focused. As time goes by, ang religion doga improve and may mga changes man. And during the first half of the pandemic bala, daw stop ang church gatherings and nanawit po ang mga tao since hindi sila makakadto sa simbahan. Doon naghimo na lang sila sa kanya-kanya nilang way kung paano nila i-express ang ilang faith and adoration sa ilang specific religion. For example, nag-virtual mass na lang sila. And with that, doon makonsider naman sa religious transformation. Next, A. Why do people join cults? First is they don't know they're joining cults. Most individuals don't recognize the group they're joining is considered a cult. Individuals who are attracted to groups that are considered cults may have certain vulnerabilities that make them more likely to join. such as anxiety or substance abuse problems. This happens mostly sa mga rural areas balang ang mga tao is vulnerable katama sa mga acts of persuasion and manipulation nga ginaubras ng mga groups nga ni. And next is they have unresolved insecurities. Another study found that many cult members experience attachment insecurity prior to joining a cult. Their insecurities may drive them toward a group that promises acceptance. They often grow dependent on being in the group and develop suspicions of anyone outside the group. This is why some individuals suspect that cult members are brainwashed, and there are some science behind this idea, as they are often told they're being persecuted by people outside the group. Just what I've said bago lang, people na may mga history sa substance abuse problems bala tend to join sa mga cult groups kaya feeling nila everyone hated them or no one will accept them kay addict sila. And with this feeling, they're gonna take advantage man sa mga cult groups na offer sila shelter and promises acceptance to the point na ma-feel ng isa ka tao nga this group ang iya na lang only hope or iya nga safe space. More likely, brainwashing and manipulation is present with sa sining process. Next is people join cults because of sociological factors. The other major theory about why individuals remain in cults is mostly sociological. Cult leaders often promise to reward members in some way. Some people believe those involved are more like victims rather than members, since they're often subjected to psychological manipulation tactics that lure them into making unhealthy decisions, including suicide in some cases. Getting out of a cult can be quite difficult. Some members don't have contact with the outside world, so it can be nearly impossible to get help. Others don't have financial. So, ibang nga members excited to join the group, kaya abi nila life will get easier kung maging member sila. Siguro hindi mo man sila mabasa kasi some of them bala, wala may educate enough about sa manipulative actions na ginaobras ng mga groups nga ni. Na consequences na atubangon nila something's not going well and they are planning to leave but ang ginaisip naman nila, kung magaling sila, may possibility nga ba sipatyon sila or i-harm family nila or maybe gindala sila sa isa ka place nga siklo.
Hello, Chabelita? Hello?
Yeah, ako na naman mga parts. So, cults in the Philippines. Among many peasant cults, it is commonly believed that Rizal cult. Among many peasant cults, it is commonly believed that he is still alive and will return to deliver his followers from poverty and oppression. Rizal has been identified as God, as the second son Filipino Christ, and has the God of Spanish Malay religion. Rizal's cults such as Iglesia Sagrada ni Lahi or Holy Church of the Race and Battle of the Race Church, the largest group, synthesize Roman Catholic rituals, images, and organization with traditional Filipino elements. So sila na yung tipo nga pati nga si Rizal, ang second coming Jesus, kag I don't know why ko pa nga gusto nila ni Brani, but napati sila nga si Rizal ang second son or ang second coming Jesus. Next is ang kay Marcos cult. The Marcos cult, which is headed by the Rodolfo Cabusa, in which they believe that the former president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, is a saint. On the last Saturday of every month, over 100 worshippers congregate with Mr. Cabusa at his modest bamboo and grass chapel among rice fields in the secluded foothills of Abra province, 200 miles north of Manila. The chapel's features include the flag bearing the words God's New World Government and the portrait of Sacred Heart of Jesus with the face of Ferdinand Marcos. The cult stems from Rizalian Brotherhood, a movement that worships Rizal sa Modogina, so nag-branch siya. So instance of Rizal nila nga si Jesus, nga version Jesus, si Marcos. The hero of the Filipinoism as a second coming of Christ. It is dated of several cults founded in dictator's death. Okay, so trends. Chabs, trends ka Chabs.
Ako na. Next lang. So, Apollo Kibuloy. So, Pastor Apollo Kibuloy is a Filipino pastor and a church leader of the Philippines-based restorationist church called the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. He has made claims that he is the appointed Son of God as well as the owner of the universe. Next. The background is Kibuloy was born on April 25, 1950 in Buhangin, Davao City, specifically in the area of Dumanlas, and is the youngest of the 9 children of Pampangans, Jose Kibuloy E. Torla and Maria Carrion E. Quinto. Kibuloy was a member of the United Pentecostal Church, a oneness Pentecostal denomination, until he established the Kingdom of Jesus Christ Church. They all became preachers and leaders in the United Pentecostal Church of the Philippines, the largest Filipino oneness Pentecostal church, which is affiliated to the US-based United Pentecostal Church International. So the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. So as we all know, Kibuloy is the founding leader and executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the name above every name, founded on September 1, 1985. He began preaching in the slums of Villamor, Agdao, Davao City with only 15 members. He has also received critical responses to his claims about being the appointed Son of God. The sect's main cathedral is located along Buhangin National Highway in Davao City. His followers refer to their community as a kingdom nation. They claim about 2 million kingdom citizens abroad and 4 million in the Philippines. So the kingdom. So Kibuloy has claimed to possess divine powers, claiming to have stopped the 2019 Cotabato earthquake at his command, and said that the public should thank him for the act. He has publicly said that he did not do the same to stop the onslaught of Typhoon Kamuri or Tisoy in response to those critical of his earlier claim in stopping the Cotabato earthquake. Next, please. So in this slide, we are trying to prove that if Kibuloy's church is a cult. So according to the New York Times, uh, written by Victor, three leaders of Filipino church are charged with running human trafficking ring. So administrator for the Kingdom of Jesus Christ arranged dozens of false marriages so workers at a fraudulent charity could stay in the United States. So in summary, the event happened in Virginia and California. The three church leaders brought church members to the United States under false pretenses, often telling them that they were invited to be special guests at a concert supporting the church ministry. So the church members were forced to collect donations to help the impoverished families in the Philippines. Next. So the church raised about 20 million from 2014 to 2019. However, members received little to no pay and were required to meet steep fundraising quotas. So failure to meet these quotas faced punishment that included paddling or being forced to spend 3 to 5 days in isolation in a walled section of the compound while being denied of food and listening to pre-recorded sermons by the church leaders according to the complaint. So also, one victim told investigators that the church leader shaved her head and made her wear an orange shirt saying SOS on the back, which stood for Son of Satan. So the question is Kibuloy's church a cult or not? So based on our research, Kibuloy's church might be a cult because in our research there is little to no evidence proving that the Kingdom of Jesus Christ is a cult. However, the characteristics of the church falls under the category of a cult. So for the reason that Kibuloy is a charismatic, and a narcissistic person, in a way in which that his followers believe that he is the appointed son of God and he stopped calamities. And second, his church has no tolerance for questioning the beliefs. So, and going to his 2020 case in which he is allegedly convicted with human trafficking, their false marriages, and their punishment towards their followers. So, in conclusion, this led us to believe that his church might be a cult. So, thank you.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much, Group 8. So, just a few questions again. So, what during the time you are researching, so what are some of your insights and some of your or what surprised you when you were searching for your topic about psychology of religion and cults?
Um, Truthfully speaking, I learned that some humans are just don't deserve to live. The way nga treat nila yung mga people, the way nga paano nila manipulate mga people, paano nila exploit,
Mm-mm.
stuff like that. Ugh. So, sometimes mapati mo, like, na-believe na lang nga din deserve sa humans mag-live magmuna mo lang sila.
Mm-mm.
So, aside from that, okay man, like, maintindihan mo man paano nila na-exploit, paano nila gamiton ang psychology para manuhan ang mga tao, paano nilang targeted audience nila, sino nila target. Like, na-target nila sa mga, for example, mag-create cult, na-target nila kung ano ang mga minorities sa isa ka community, kagamito nila na para exploit nila through sa gamit sa ilang for example ilang beliefs na for example silabi ang mabasa lang gina-exploit ka mo kinahanglan yung pakigbato inyong mga life or inyong freedom kay ginagamit ka sa mga tao. So like dira pa nga part mabala mo na nga ginagamit nila mga ilang mga followers para sa sarili nila nga motives.
Okay. Sige. Other group members?
So diri ma'am sa diri na report ma'am, though na-prove, although wala man sa research ma'am nga maka-prove nga cult gid man ang Church of Kibuloy. Pero daw sulod abi siya ma'am sa characteristics sang cult. Kay ang ila church abi mga kilala ko nga members sa group. Pang balay-balay sila mag-recruit sa member masula sa ila group. Tapos during sang recruitment ma'am, treat kanila nga VIP, just like what I've said earlier kay na nga they don't know that they are joining cult. Kaya sa una nga gina-treat sila better, pero after ginaalit visit daw ka para daw sa ila scholarship or para sa mga nagakagutman, but the truth is all the money goes to Kibuloy's pocket ganyan ma'am.
Okay. Are there more group members?
Ako, ma'am.
Sige.
So, ma'am, in reference lang, ma'am, sa psychology of religion, ma'am. So, in reference sa kay Charles Darwin, nga ginambal, lang in order for humanity to survive, they have to form groups together. Because kung isa lang katao, a person might die or worse.
Mm-mm.
So, na-surprise lang ko kidaan nakastumble ako sa reference because ang faults to ang religions gali were once a cult. Tapos nagdako lang sila. And for some reason, religion was used to have order and to control the people.
Mm-mm.
And that's why humanity has tried for 8,000 years because of religion or because of their collective beliefs. Wala naman.
Okay. Are there more group members who would like to give their insight? Wala naman. So, wala lang. Nadumduman. I think, pwede. Okay, sige. Okay, question. I think your classmate has a question. Kindly. How does cult psychology relate with religion? Are the two similar or what is their differences? So, based po sa research ninyo.
Sa speaking ng from every religion nag-start ang sa cult. So for example, ang Christianity nag-start mo sa mga cult as long cult like nag-start sa small group. Ang ila movement is ng word of God nga si Jesus ang Jesus ang son of God. So para ma-considered nga religion ang isa ka cult, dapat sila dapat natawag makasurvive sila sa third generation nila. As long as ma-survive sila sa third generation, mo-considered na sila nga religion. Other example is ang mga Mormons. Like, di ba, para mga ka-years sila, tapos from a small cult na sila noon na naging start sila. So, nakasurvive sila mga pila ka years hasta sa third generation nila na considered na sang branch ang gahandle gali sang religion basta may branch ang handle na para ma-consider sila nga religion na.
Okay, did that satisfy your questions? Okay, so depende. So depende lang daw sa followers.
I think ma-considered mo nga di mo ko magambang considered ang like hindi lang mga cult is naga-based sa religion but meron man ibang na cult na social movement cult. For example, ang KKK nga Ku Klux Klan nga ang race sa Manila na yung inastoryahan like ang white supremacy. So hindi ko na magamba nga cult is correlated sa religion but do dapat pwede mo man di man sila magdapitanay but ang cult line man yung religious cult kang social movement cult. So mana.
So it really depends on the ideology of the certain group, tama ba?
Yep.
So yeah, so I think if I could relate this also to political beliefs man, like for example, I think sa Marxism, I think si Karl Marx yung managambal nga religion is the copium of the people. So that's why in communism wala they get rid of religion para ang state lang gid ang the one who is in control of everything, do something like that. I haven't read gid ang mga kay Karl Marx nga mga book sabi. So amo na. Okay, Ace though. Okay. What is usually what is usually the main reason why cults continue? Is it more sa high suggestibility ng followers or sa charisma or deception ng cult leader?
Okay, lahat na ako na kay Jad. If depende man sa cult, meron man cult. Kung ang cult na is self-destructive, may behavior silang self-destructive, hindi sila magdugay. Meron man cult nga patago, na why mga public, mostly in a single community nun sila or isa lang ka-family, mabuhi sa dugay. Problem is kung magdugay sila magdugay hindi sila biskan sila pa hindi sila considered nga religion sang sa ka group ang higher ups na sang religion or handle da. So if ang group na ina is for example brakabi cult nga pang-sacrifice taho. So if mapublic na siya, pwede ko ma-please, pwede ko ma-cancel ang cult na ina and madula na sa mga tawag nga ang iba niya cult why kadugay kay sila nga self-destructive behavior.
Okay, sige. Since very relevant pan ganit no, kaya ba ganit ang ni question ni Romar, ang Marcos apologies ko no considered a cult. Pero sa though like may ara gid ya cult nga organized cult gid ya. Pero syempre with the spread of social media, we never know kung sino ang kung ang post is really the part of the cult or basi lang siya unknowingly lang gid yung Marcos apologies lang gid siya. So I think the term is cult like kay hindi tagid ka determine if ang post are really members of that certain cult or hindi. Pero at least we are aware nga okay, why is it that grabe ang defend nila sa Marcos? It's because nga there is also another cult that is really worshiping Marcos. Okay? Pero hindi kita sure kung ang tanan nga ga-post are really members of that cult. Did I answer your question, Romar?
Ang question ni Rhea, luway pa ako lang tao na sa
Oo, wala
sang
man ko na
iyang
gani
movie.
katanaw man. Oo,
Black
so
Beret.
okay,
Oy,
ikaw ya Ace, ano yung mga ano?
bullying na eh.
Other group members ay buligay na sige, so very interesting good no kay may mga may mga damo-damo church or Church of Satan, may mga with siguro just like what I said man sa political psychology nga group man. So whatever post that we see or whatever ideology that we may come across, let's all think critically whether or not we should accept it or hindi. So amo na, let's learn to investigate man and not just passively accept information. So amo na gani. That's why I encourage discussion, I encourage questioning sa class. Kaya syempre I want this class man nga to critically think man and not just accept information from other group members. So amo na. Sige.
May questions pa?
May questions pa daw.
Please wag.
Okay. Kay sino mo na i-address, Tristan? Is it for me or kay Ace? Kay Ace daw ko, no?
So, if magamba naman sila muna, like like for example, na experience ko man nga na literal nga may small church sa Monday. So yeah. Natabo to nga time nga Sunday to nag family church kami sang mga 10 to 12 years old na ako. So yeah, like pa natin sermon kay ano na. But the time nga magtapos na nagamba ng pare namon nga I think ang local church nga wow, like feel ko gid ng blessings ni God kung mag-ano ko mo subong sang 1,000 pesos or something ma-donate ka mo. So during the time na itong like ga-base mo gid sa God sa gatag sa God sa blessings nila sa sa kano kada mo nga gin-donate mo. Like yeah, dara nga part nagdula no sunggana kung magkadto sa mga churches or ano kay do literal na scam na gid sa remind lang mo literal nga local church naman sa mga barangay. So yeah. At so natapos na to nag-change naman church nabalaan to nga may issue to natabo ging kakasa so bago naman sa mga manali. So ang inyo nga ano lang is wait ang question to ni ano sa question. Yeah. What's your opinion on church instead of using celebrities for their influence in the church? Yeah, muna yung problem. Like, public figure ang mga celebrities. So, maka-influence ka sila. Like, for example, Scientology, muna sa problem. Church ng Scientology, ginagamit ang celebrities kay gusto nila, ginagamit nila for publicity, for para makapadamo sa nila followers or padamo sa followers kamo kano sang budget. So, okay, na questions?
Ay pa, Ace.
Okay, last question. Okay, what's your opinion is if gina-compare ang politics sa religion? Wow. Yeah, literally, in my opinion, dapat separate sila. Hindi, pag haluan ng politics sa religion. Like, if, for example, kapadaga ng mga priest bilang
bilang senators, bilang mga members ng government, ah, like, yun ang ba, sila mismo ang mga the state and the church are separate, pero sila mismo the steps and bounds nila para sa ano, yung decision, sa mga decision. So yeah, sa akong opinion is dapat separate, hindi sila, hindi pagaluon ang politics sa religion. For the base mo ng, hindi naman.
Ano galing?
So,
Tawa.
okay, may na questions? Dude, yes. Sir, Reddit na dude.
Uy, balaan yung gina-record ko ni Balalayog lang.
Dude, sir, Reddit ni dude. Okay, yan ba?
Okay, wait lang. So in summary, siguro just to finalize or to sum up what ano. So it's important man nga kung whatever religion that we believe in, we must also study what are our beliefs, 'di ba? Study kung how true our beliefs are. So I know some of you are not religious, but for those who are nga religious and also spiritual, so it's best gid nalipat kong tawag sa may term na siya sa theology nga gina-study gid ang validity sang Christianity bala ang validity sang beliefs sang Christianity. I forgot what the term is. My gosh. So uh and yeah, kailangan amo na. And if you believe that your religion is true, so kailangan mo rin na siya nga ma-justify uh, with not just only common beliefs but also with empirical evidences. So that's why sa theology, sa Christian theology, may ara gina siya specific study for that. So ginatanaw ang gina-trace back kaya ang validity and of course ang kamatuoran, learning about the truth of what is in the Bible and amo na. So na-forgot ko lang gid ang term. Na-forgot ko lang gid ang term nga tawag sina. Pero yeah, so amo lang na ang ako nga the encouragement nga kung whatever man you believe in, whatever your ideology that you may come up when you graduate and when you, for example, diri man sa university, try to examine, try to look into it in an oo, basta sa about sa doctrine nalipat ko. Ano gani ang sino ganing ga-research sa mga pastors ganita ano ganing tawag sa do na study ang doctrine, oo. Lipat ko. I forgot the term. May ara ginaya term about it. So, i-search ko lang liwat. So, amo na. Ina-search ko gani. So, nalipat kid kuya. May libro na si papa ko about gid na. So, yeah. So, whatever you believe in, so, whatever Christian beliefs man nga gina-believe in mo, kailangan gid ya, just like Plato gani said, we must search for what is the truth. So we may come to conclusion to it one day, but amo na what is best is that we examine our beliefs, we examine what is it a healthy belief or not. So basi religious practices lang gali ang atong ginaubra, and we are not really looking into the sound doctrine if it's really aligned or something like that. Yeah, and amo na. So hindi sa exegesis ano lang na the study of the doctrine may it's not exegesis, but I'm looking for another term. So amo na, it's really fascinating gid man to look into the psychology of religions and cults. Kapin pa, syempre we are a very religious country, and amo na with the changing generation and with the changing mindset of everyone. So it's best git nga whatever we come up or whatever we come across another ideology or another uh quote unquote cult like or religion, we must first examine gid kung ano ina. And yeah, let's not be just a passive receiver of information. So dapat kapalugid kita how to defend it, and at the same time actively researching to come up with the truth, or we can find what is exactly the objective truth gani. So kasi subong, I think we are now on the postmodernist nga world. So when you say postmodernist, para sa ila there is no reliable truth. Ano na lang, it's subjective, it's relative kumbaga. So amo na. So it's really, that's why we have here amo na mga mga sa mga Marcos apologist versus sa kung ano ka man nga color, 'di ba? So gabutan na lang respect your opinions, because for them siguro they are in the thinking of postmodernism nga truth is relative. So amo na. But kita, as behavioral scientists, as future psychologists and psychometricians, let's be objective. Let's try to research gid. That's why important gid ang research. Hindi ginaton siya pag ano tawag mo na, ikalimtan or i-take for granted. Okay? So sige, so thank you very much group 8, and thank you everyone nga nag kadto and nag attend sa aton nga last nga session. So before we go, amo na, reminders na lang sa mga groups nga wala pa ka-process ng handouts, please pass them. Yes, Tristan, do you have any question? Last na lang nga question before we go. Okay. Sige, pero amo na while Tristan is typing. Sige.
So, how to leave a cult? Bago ka budday lang ano nila. But, like, budday ba niya cult is, budday get out sa cult nga, no? Nga nasuddan mo, no? Kung sila dando, for example, maparanoid mo nga girlfriend, nga hindi nila pabayaan, ubra ko nila tanan para magstay ka. If, so, no na, kung gusto mo gid magwa, ita na new life. Like, literal, may mga cult dahil obsessive good.
Mm-mm.
So, kamay na tip is, pack everything na kinanglan mo. Second is, ubrak listahan sa mga tao nga makabulig sa mo. Pangita ka bagong nga lugar, nga restaurant. Kung, for example, yung kot na restaurant, anuhan, gin sudan is, hindi mo makonsider nga humane. Or literal nga, do kay radical lang nga thinking. So, palayo ka, pangita ka ng bagong lugar. Palalayo sa mga nice, mga services, mga meetings. Like, for example, living in your own, break times with the cult, dahil not meetings anymore, plan to do something else during that time. If you're able, makita yung balaan nila. Staying safe, keep your plans secret. So, kung may plano ka magwa sa cult, hindi ka magambal sa mga tupad mo or mga cult members nga malakat magwa ka. So, may chance nga i-double cross kanila. Third, sunod is, kung magwa ka man gid, dapat kung may group chat ka mo or something, dapat i-record mo na, like, for evidence. So, kung magwa ka magid sa cult, i-focus mo na self mo bagong iban. So, help yourself first bago mo sila buligan. So, during that time na magwa ka, hindi ka na punumdum nga, mayop doon ka. So, balikon mo na sila if may chance ka nga balikon sila. So, if kung cult na yun is literal nga, for example, may firearms or may
mga illegal nga mga activities. So decision mo is either ang unang decision mo is i-involve mo ng law like for example biga ang cult na biga pang sacrifice ta gano sa drugs or something gano sa mga children, involved na ng mga children. So yeah, contact mo ng law. At last part is kung makarecover ka na sa mga natabo nga experience mo, ang trauma nga natabo mo. So yeah, seek therapy. Kung kinanglan mo ng seek therapy. At yara man cult at panundumon man sa nguningan mamiyara man sang organization or groups nga hindi man par sa tanan nga negative, meron man positive. So yeah, mo na. Wala na questions. Okay, overtime na dan.
Oo. Sige. So, amo na. And yeah, I think people who leave cults also risk themselves from being publicly shamed. So, some cults, I think, gina-post nila sa Facebook kung sino ang mga members nila. Tapos do like i-excommunicate gid from their family members. 'Di ba? Especially gid if family ka mo and then ikaw mismo sa family mo you left the cult, so you are risking not only to be publicly shamed by your cult but also amo na i-online man kay amo na nasubong ang aton nga world. So yeah, I think in some cult, I think in the cult that they mentioned also they also practice that nga gina-post nila kung sinong mga ex-members nila sa Facebook tapos do mo na dapat wala daw may ma-communicate sa ila um or kung mangayo man sila bulig sa ila, so hindi dapat pagbuligan, something like that. So I think overtime na gani 4:21 na. So thank you Gid so much for attending everyone. So let's now check your attendance for the last time.